Hey guys, it's me. I still make content, or try to when I have time. I have been so busy recently that I haven't had a chance to make videos. But if you've been keeping up with me on YouTube and you see my community tab, I have been grinding on Duelingbbook. And I have been doing so very hard until recently because this format is so fucking boring. It's literally torture to sit there and play this format over and over and over again. But I'm going to show you the deck that I climbed with to get to high rated DB slash top 200, whatever it may be. The number is on my community tab if you want to look and see how far I got to. That was where I got to. I think I posted the farthest I got to. And I just got bored and just really bored. And yeah, that's it. I'll show you the build. And yeah, I hope you guys enjoy the deck profile. Okay, so here is the deck. I know there are some things in here ratio wise that don't make sense. There's some cards that usually are cut that are put back in. There's things that are changed throughout this deck that are weird, and I'm going to explain them, of how it used to be to what it got changed to, because as you go up the ladder, you go against usually the certain type of decks or the same, I don't want to say the same opponents, but most of the time you're facing is the same decks. So I'm going to explain them as I go. So for the hand trap lineup, I ended on Ash, 3 Droll Lockbird, 3 Effect Veiler, and 3 Ogre. In the lower ranks, I did play Nibiru in the main deck. I tried it. Imperm was in my main deck, and I tried it. These are just things that I had in before. I also played Forbidden Droplet that was in my main deck before. It wasn't that they were all bad, it's just that the decks that they were good against, you don't really play against in the higher elo. And when I say that, I mean, like, the Punk deck plays around Nibiru, so you don't want to have Nibiru in your deck. You'd rather have something like Droll and Lockbird. That was that switch. Because I had Nib in, and then I switched out for Droll, because Droll actually can stop that deck. So that was like a very good switch. Forbidden Droplet got switched out because I ran into less token collectors and more Nibirus at a point. So I wanted to, like, and Droplet's dedication, like when the board was already made, like I could negate the board, but then I wouldn't have enough resources to actually play. So that's why I cut Droplet. That didn't work out very well. If I was to put something like that back in, it would probably be Chalice, and that still seems terrible because it's like if I draw it going second, I wish it was a hand trap, but like there's also times where if it's Droplet, it can just win the game. You know what I mean? Like Droplet is just so much better than Chalice. It's just in this deck, you need like all of your cards to play. It's so awkward in this deck. I don't like it too much, but it was mostly for beating Token Collector. But yeah, so that's the hand trap lineup I ended on. Ghost Ogre's a little weird, I guess, right now, but there was a lot of Brave and high rated. Like every other match ended up being against like Punk Brave, like some kind of variant of it. So Ghost Ogre Super was good by the time I got to that point. And yeah, that's it for the hand trap lineup. For the actual Swordsoul cards, I'm including Ecclesia. I played 2 Ecclesia. I only played 2 because like you really only brick in this deck with 2 ways, which is too many normal summons, which involves Ecclesia because you can draw like Ecclesia, Smoyi, and Taye, and that's just awful. They don't do anything going first. So like it just gives you dead cards in your hand, which you want to avoid. And I think like 7 was like a perfect number for me, along with the emergences to make it like an even like 10 to see like 1. That's what you really want. You want to see 1. And then 3 Moye, obviously. 2 Taye. 2 Taye comes up. I definitely need to. I would never cut 1. Triple Long Young, super good. I'm not going to explain Long Young. He's just insane. I would never cut him either. This is something that's weird for the Tenyi lineup. I did play like a smaller version of it. I played 2 copies of Adhara, 2 copies of Vashuda, and 3 Ashuna and 1 Shithana. So as the format kind of evolved, from where I started playing to how I ended up, I really wanted to cut this down to 40 for consistency, and like Vashuda in itself doesn't do anything, and because you cut Hauke Fiber X from the combo, you don't play Despot anymore, from Rorodon being banned and all that. This doesn't do anything either. Adhara doesn't add anything to this deck anymore. So when you have to you only want to draw Ashuna really, or you have to draw one of the other Tenyis plus Vessel. So like you don't really want to draw these, but like they're nice sometimes. Like sometimes they can combo. Sometimes you can do like cheeky plays with Long Young Adhara, or you can like have Vashuda going second. You know what I mean? Like you're not upset about seeing them, but they're also just not like insane. But yeah, and then obviously the Shitana is for the Heavenly Dragon Circle, which is next. We can dodge stuff with Heavenly Dragon Circle on Moye, so we can still make Chi-Chao, place through things. It also outs Mystic Mine. So yeah, it's just like super, super strong. Two Pot of Desires. You would think that playing like two Vishuddha, two Adhara, and two Ecclesia would like hurt with two Desires. It really doesn't. I think it just doesn't hurt. I guess I don't know how else to describe it. Usually the deck's fine. I've maybe one time in all of my grinding, and that's like a lot of matches that it actually mattered. But for the rest of the time, it was like perfectly fine, no big deal. But Desires is so good in this deck. Like I said earlier with the droplets reference, you need every card in your hand to do something for this deck to be at its most powerful. And that's with a generic thing with most decks, but with this deck especially, like if every card's playable, this deck can do some insane shit if you sequence properly. So Desires helps with that 'cause it's just free two for no reason. And then obviously 3 Emergence for Rhoda, 2 Vessel. I heard a lot of people were cutting this card. I still like it a lot. It's just like it gives you access to. It's like more Vishuddhas, I guess, going second, and then it also like baits Ash Blossom, which is kind of good in some sequences. And then like having access to your Tenyis is like just really good. Like overall, I don't know how to describe it. Like having Monk and then Vessel is like it's you can make Boxia or Chi-Chao before your normal summon, and that's like insane in this deck because it baits out so much and puts so much pressure on. Like you can literally make Boxia, they have to negate it. Okay, then you can make like if you're like you're really desperate, you can make like Shaman Wreck Monk, and then like attack and that's a pop. So like that's like 2 things you baited out without using your normal summon or Long Young. That's like a lot. That's just yeah, it's just the best way to describe it's just a lot. It's really super pain in the ass for a lot of decks to deal with. So that's why I didn't want to cut Vessel, but I cut it too. But the other way that this deck bricks is when you draw specifically Vessel, it's like Vessel, Heavenly Circle, and then like Moyi, or like Vessel Moyi is like the main one. Is like it's so annoying. Like I've had hands where I just draw like it'll be like hand trap, and then like Vessel Moyi, and it's like, oh, this hand's so close to being broken, but then it's just not. It's frustrating. Yeah, that's it. Nothing else to say. But overall, I think Vessel has more pros than cons, so it just adds such a layer of durability and pressure that I don't think I could see myself cutting this card. And then Blackout, because Blackout's really good. It also plays through hand traps because you can banish it with Chi-Chao to get the extra token, and then yeah, it's just the normal Heavenly Dragon Circle play. I'm gonna do the extra deck first. I played 1 copy of Baron, 2 Boxia. This is all standard, like 1 Chao Fang for the Tenyi play again. Super good to play around Nibiru. Also, sometimes you're playing a Strytron, and this is like an FTK just playing this card. 1 copy of Crimson Blader. This would be the flex spot. It's you can like put a lot of things in, like Dragite. You can be in here. It could be the Psychic guy out of the new set. I think it's Psychic and Punisher. I think it's called or something. They have a lot of options. It's really good. I just personally prefer Crimson Blader, like being able to hit over a Despia guy, and then they can't like fusion summon. It just turns off Brain Fusion essentially next turn. Or Fallen of Albaz. You can also hit over like a Swordsoul guy, and then they can't synchro next turn. So like it has applications that are pretty decent. I'm not saying it's crazy or game ending, but it's like it's almost like a skip a turn in a sense for some decks. So that's why I chose to play it. But you can definitely play something like Dragite or Psychic and Punisher, and there's other options. Berserker, obviously, Berserker's really strong. 2 copies of Chi-Chao, 1 copy of Sinister Sovereign, 1 Supreme Sovereign. Both these cards are just absurd. I cannot even stress how insane these cards are, especially this one. Because you summon it, you win the game. It's always my logic. It's just so good. 1 copy of Yazi. Like, when you do a Yazi play, it feels not fair. Because you're, like, breaking a board that can't be targeted, and then you go into an extender, which then also goes into a board breaker, which then is also another extender, like Yazi into Taia, into Boxia, into like Chi-Chao, into Wong Young. Like that line of like breaking the board and getting extenders is just blows my mind every time I do it. But then for the links we have 3 monks and then the 1 shaman. I do like shaman because it's something that adds pressure, and then it also being able to reborn any worm is like super powerful. So you can bring back something like Supreme Sovereign that was outed earlier, or Sinister without like it's like you can synchro with any 2 worms essentially if to get back an interruption. So it's like you make a board like a mediocre board with like Chi-Chao Supreme or Chi-Chao Sinister, and then on their turn they stop you a little, or on your turn they stop you a little bit, and then you're in like awkward spot. You can still go like Shaman, and then pitch to bring back the Sinister. So you still have double interruption even like on the clapback, and through interruptions and after outing your board. So like usually they're pretty low on resources at that point, and then Sinister's usually enough to close out. So there's something to keep in mind. But I think Shaman's like too good not to play. Sorry, I'm losing my voice right now. For the side deck, I'll go through this really quickly. Nibiru plus any hand trap is like godly against the combo, like any combo deck. It's just so good. 2 Twin Twister, Outs Mystic Mine, back row decks. I know I said like this is like debatable change. You could play something like Cosmic Cyclone. This is just what I landed on for now because a lot of the back row decks are playing so many things. But this deck does play through back row like kind of well. So like maybe this should just be Cosmic. But yeah, like I said earlier, you need the most cards to play, and discarding off Twin is usually like it hurts sometimes. 3 anti-spell, 3D barrier. This is the problem with the format. I would say is like, are you siding for Swordsoul or are you siding for this? It's stupid, but like yeah, go first. Put these in. That's all I could say. It's just silly. And then 3 evenly match. This card I found pretty decent against like Flunder for the most part. It was a little bit better when I had droplets in still because like you could go battle phase against Flunder and then they like tribute. They do like their stuff, tribute for Avion, and then you just activate evenly the Avion. You change droplets, send away the evenly. So then they still have to go to 1, and then yeah. So that's just like super good. Like just out the whole board essentially. And then if they have like what is it, the barrier statue, you can like send away 2 and get barrier statue 2, so they can't keep it, and then like the board's pretty much shot at that point. The best thing they can do is like keep the field spell, and if you have like any Tenyi card, you're just breaking it and just going through anyway. So it never really mattered. But yeah, overall, this is the deck that I climbed with. I know this is like kind of super vanilla, but like it's just what I did well with. Like I'm not gonna sugarcoat it. I'm not gonna put like super spicy things in. This was for consistency. This is for longevity in a tournament. This is to open up the most consistent in multiple amounts of matches. So we're playing like 50 matches. We need to open up as consistent as possible for each of those matches. And that's why I'm telling you the only time I bricked was within those scenarios. That was the only times where it came up where it was super relevant for me. So overall, that was the deck. That was the problems with the deck. That was how I solved them. This was the deck that I played, and I did really well with. People just not even people, just the format just got boring. I just ran through a bunch of punk and adventure. It got really boring. So overall, I hope you guys did enjoy the deck profile. Hopefully making content more regularly soon because, oh god, it's so boring right now. When Power of the Elements come out, it should be more fun. So I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye guys.